Testing my check. Testing my check. Alright, hi guys, welcome back to the stream. So I did a stream not too long ago about web novel Spirity. If you guys still have questions about it, you can check the playback on YouTube. For today, we're going to be looking at some submissions from an anonymous author. Not too long back also, I made a two-part video about how to create a best-selling idea for web novel. So one of the points covered was looking for the right beta readers. So instead of talking about beta readers, I decided like maybe it's better for me to show by example. So today, instead of being a writer, I'm gonna be a beta reader. And I was given like 2 files. So if you are on stream and you'd like me to go through some of your works, submissions, please give me your story title, your synopsis, and then your first chapters. So at least one of the chapters. So without further ado, connection's been bad tonight, but I will try. I will be taking a look at the first submission over here. It's something that I've seen before, like about a year ago or something. So it's like quite a long time back. So yeah, basics. Let's get back to the basics. Okay, first, when you're a beta reader, you have to decide on the medium that you're working on. For this case, I like using Google Docs because it's multiple submissions, so you can adjust the setting for your beta readers. In my case, I'm giving permissions over here, which means that I'm given a suggesting mode. Um, I would suggest all writers, when sharing permissions for your file to your beta readers, to set this accordingly. Do not give editing rights. Give suggesting rights, no editing rights, because editing changes the document directly and you won't be able to know if anyone has changed your original. Suggesting is clearer. Suggesting does this. So I can add a comment over here and then I can comment it and I can tag the user by paragraphs, or I can simply do this. And then it creates something over here. So I want to undo. I would like to undo this, please. Yeah, so Control Z does that. So, for example, if I'm a beta reader, I'm not a proofreader, okay? So I don't check for grammar and stuff like that. If it's unpolished, it's gonna be unpolished. I'm just going to leave it at that. It's the writer's job to follow up on increasing the quality of things. What I'm going to be looking for as a beta reader will be content. And in content, there are several factors that I usually go through. The first factor is the ability to understand what's going on. For example, what's the flow like? When I talk about flow, it's the pacing of the chapter, the paragraph, the clarity of understanding how things link together. So, like for example, you wake up, you get washed up, you eat breakfast, and then you head to school. But if the writer decides to be a little bit strange, and then they say you wake up, and then you go to school, and then you eat breakfast, and then you wash up, it's like, something is not right over there. So, flow is something I'm going to be looking at. The second thing that I'm going to be looking at as a beta is actually the logic of things. Can I see myself understanding and enjoying this story? Like, are there any major plot holes? For example, he gets shot with an arrow in like the first paragraph, and then by the end of the chapter, like in the 20th paragraph, the author writes that he got shot by a bullet instead. But then I was like, hold up a second, did he just get shot by an arrow like early on? Yeah, so these are some red flags that beta readers can actually point out to the authors. Like, if it doesn't make sense and you think that they've missed out something, confused with something, or forgotten something, this is what you can be pointing out. Right, so first and foremost, I would like to say this is not my preferred style of manuscript. My poor eyes. Okay, so I won't be changing the formatting. But I would appreciate if, writers make it a little bit easier for me to read. Right, like for example, this one. We will make it like so. Where is my. I usually change this to a heading. And then I will. Where is my. No, this is fine. Line spacing? Is it line spacing? So add a space after paragraphs. Hold up. I want to do it for everything for consistency. And this. It's better to use alternate enter. Just saying. Alright, this is just readability. It's miscellaneous things. It's like personal preference, but this is my personal preference. Okay, where is my spacing? Alright, so it becomes more readable now. Hopefully you guys can see this. I might reduce this to about 125%. Okay, maybe not 100%. My poor eyes. Okay, I guess this is it. Okay, and the same thing over here. Okay, so in case some of you don't know, I'm actually a tuition teacher, which means I teach English as well. So it's a teacher thing. It's more like a personal thing. You can give the manuscript whichever way it is, but yeah, this is how I prefer to do it. So the manuscript has to be in a readable font, so Arial Times New Roman, somewhere around 11 or 12 size is okay. Leave a space after each paragraph because this helps with the eyes to flow through. Hi, Dan Alaba. Dan Alaba, yeah. Oh, good beta reader guide. Yeah, okay. Yeah. If there are any questions, please let me know. I will occasionally check the chats to ongoing. I will address them as I go. Other than that, I will get back to my beta reading. So as I was explaining, so the format is important because writers don't have the best eyes. If you're writing like 12 hours a day, you're definitely going to be wearing glasses. Chances are 90% of writers wear glasses if they don't wear contacts outside. So what I'm trying to say is make it readable. Font size, keep it consistent. It doesn't have to be very big, but it has to be neat enough for the beta reader to go through the flow. The reason why you need an additional space after a paragraph is so that you can follow through. If you're going to read this in a mobile version, it's going to look like a huge chunk of text. So the space on a manuscript actually gives the beta reader an idea of what to be expecting when they see it on whatever medium that they're on. I'm currently on PC. It can be a laptop. So whatever that's in Google Drive right now, for example, this first sentence, it can be cut into 2 or 3 lines, like two lines and maybe exceeding 2-3 words on the mobile reading. So if it's too long, for example, let me just see if there's any like paragraphs that are chunky. If it's like overly chunky, it's not very good, especially if you're reading for web novel. This one, for example, just first glance, this paragraph in itself, because of the spacing, I'm able to tell that it could be split. Like consider splits me. I would suggest over here or over here. Like it could be split multiple times to make it more readable. This is what I'm talking about. That's why it's a better idea to actually put a space after you take a look on the overall at a first glance. Oh, okay, this is chunky. Maybe I should, edit this a little bit more. Yeah, this is what you can look at. But I won't go into details of this. So paragraph chunking, all these things are a little bit more towards writing specifics, but because I'm a writer, so when I beta read, this kind of things just come to me naturally. If you're just a normal reader, yeah, this kind of things can irk you, and then you can highlight this entire thing to the author. Like, for example, you can click and you can add a comment. So add a comment over here and say too chunky. Too chunky, hard to read, things like this. So it's up to the author to decide if they want to change this, to break it up, to edit, to reformat it in a way that's easier for readers to follow. So yeah, this is what a beta reader does. So I'm not given a synopsis. Neither have I been given a title, so I'm just going to run blind with no expectations, as all beta readers should. Okay, this is gonna be a Cafe BL novel. So I'm expecting something like, a little light-hearted, fluffy, slice of life, modern day theme, but I could be wrong. So I'm just gonna go in with that mindset with no expectations. But if I'm starting to see things like, guns coming into the cafe and stuff like that, and it does not make sense, I will be pointing them out. You can rest assured, these things don't make sense, I will tell you so. Okay, so let's go with the very first paragraph over here. So, chapter 1. Today was the day when Martin finally had bought his very own cafeteria. Okay, hold up for a second here. Okay, this is, how do I say, it's like double passive. I don't know why, but I have this problem as well as a writer. So whenever I see something like this, I can't help but highlight it, Today was the day when Martin finally had bought. When Martin finally, you can remove the head and it still makes sense. In fact, it sounds better without the word head. So let me just do a quick Google. I don't think I have Grammarly installed with this. Do I have it installed? Okay, maybe it doesn't allow me to use it on the beta reading ones. But anyways, if you have Grammarly as a writer and if you go premium, you can actually check out one of my past streams when I tested Grammarly Premium Live. It will show you things like this tense is a little bit, questionable, where you can find a replacement for it. So in this case, it's called past perfect. So it's like this. So they gave you an example. So it's things that happened before something else. A lot of times we tend to use it in a slightly more passive tone. It is not necessary over here. Today means that it just happened. It's past, but it's not something that happened way before it. So the use of this, I'll need to correct it. I will. I prefer putting comments basically. So unless I'm proofreading, I don't try to edit directly. I will just highlight this. Yeah, so this is good enough. Good enough for me. What is... Okay. Okay. Yeah, so this is just some tidbits. Like, I find it hard for me to correct it when I write. It just comes so naturally because when we talk, it's kind of like a colloquial slang speech thing that we take advantage of. and it comes through our writing. So it's difficult to correct something that we use so often in real life. And as I'm doing this live stream, I realize that my grammar isn't perfect, but what ifs? Yeah, I feel you too. Then, can I call you then? Right. So in any case, this is just the first line, and I'm already here. So I don't know how long this live stream is gonna take. I have two of these things to actually look through. I will do my best. I will do my best. I will try. Right. So he had worked hard. He. Okay. So I'm going to change the color here. I will. Purple is my favorite, so I'm just gonna put purple over here. So yeah. So this is what I'm gonna be doing from now on. So I've said it and I've seen it again, so I'm just gonna point it out and I won't say it again. So he had worked hard for this day to happen to do various jobs. To happen to do various jobs. Over here, I'm just gonna add one more. I wish there was that plus thing again. But okay, it's fine. Phrasing clarity. How do I spell repetition? Rapper. Repa. And repetition. So basically over here what I'm trying to say is he could be more concise, she could be more concise with how this works. Yeah. To happen to do various job while studying himself the basics of cooking. Yeah, so basically I have a problem with this entire sentence, how it's being phrased. There is no clarity in this. So in order to tell the reader in a good way, I would suggest going in chronological order if you can't. So you have to introduce information in bits by pieces. It is not a crime to use shorter sentences in order to tell the things that you have to do. Like, for example, over here, if I were to rewrite this, it would be something like that. Right, so putting the sequence backwards. So I would say that he first worked while studying. Okay, he first worked at the job, save up, bought the shop. At the same time, also studied basics of cooking and baking. Okay, wait, no, that's wrong. Okay, let me think about the sequence now. Right, the sequence would look something like, okay, first, he worked many jobs. At the same time, he studied cooking and baking basics. And then he finally got his restaurant or cafe. So, you can break this into essentially 3 points. So at least three sentences in this place to rewrite it rather than linking it in one sentence with very confusing chronology that the readers might have a problem with. Ah, oh, then yes, thank you so much. So yeah, the Grammarly blog was something that I created for the golf people who wanted to know. Like, I'm sure there are other reviews out there, but it's just that it's my personal experience. I did a live stream testing so that I can write a blog to support the points that I did. And yeah, so I do a lot of content like that. So if you're not subscribed yet, you might, consider subscribing too. Yeah, future content's coming up. I'm dying right now because I have like so many commitments, but I will try. Okay, so I was saying that this part has to be broken up. Okay, feels more like a mentoring session than a beta reading session. But anyway, so it's informative to you guys who needs it. So point one is actually working. And then point two is actually this. And then point three is actually buying the cafe. Okay, so this is my notes. You don't have to do this as a beta reader. So you can just add a note that is confusing and hard to follow. That's it. As a beta reader, there is enough. It's like I'm going the extra mile right now to actually show my thinking process and how I edit as an editor. So like yeah, some of you guys know I have Fiverr and I haven't got any gigs yet, but if I had a gig, this is what it would look like and how I would do it. Okay, definitely have a spelling error over here. Right, so in contrast to what the author has written, as someone who is also a writer, I would recommend rephrasing this after defining the points that you want to get across. For example, he has three main points over here, which I have covered, but I phrased it in a different way. I don't just put it in a chronological order that's easy to understand. I also added in little details that people will miss out, usually miss out. So I've crafted things in, for example, to show his personality. If he's a clumsy person, exploding oven is actually one of the things that, can give an insight to, oh my god, this character is, klutzy, clumsy, funny, and stuff like these things in the future. At the same time, things like he could get like emotional at the sight of his dreams paying off tells you that he's actually a very sensitive person. And then working shitty jobs with miserable pay can show you that this guy has what it takes to succeed because he is persistent. Yes, then I have a beta reader Fiverr gig, I think. Do I? I don't know. I have to check. Yeah, maybe after this stream I'll check. If I don't and anyone is interested, they can just hit me up. I think Fiverr open custom gig is there or something like that. Yeah. So I do those, but I don't advertise it as much. Right. So as I was saying, this paragraph could be very much improved in the way that I have written, but of course, what I've written is actually just a personal opinion as a writer and my personal style. Every writer has a different gift; they write differently, and you can see in their personal flair, like how they craft things. It's very subjective. So I try not to, put in too much of my colors into their work. I try to appreciate the work of these writers as what they are, which is why I usually put comments and I don't do direct edits. I try not to do direct edits because the writer might not like it, and the writer might have a different idea. But by giving examples like this, it's easier for them to follow on the things that I'm saying, rather than something generic like, oh, it's too hard to follow. But this is my value added point as a writer. When I do beta reading, so you got to experience in writing, and then you are doing beta reading, so that helps. You have two sides of the coin, but always know that even though you are a writer, basic respect has to be there. So there are a lot of beta readers that I talked about briefly. They can be slightly toxic. You don't want those kind of people as your beta readers, so they think that they're better than you just because they're a writer as well. And then they try to force their opinions on you and stuff like that happens. So yeah, that's not a very pleasant experience. I wouldn't recommend it. mm. Right, so this is just two paragraphs. My god. Okay, we have a lot to do. I'm moving on. So okay, another thing is wow, there's so many things tonight. Ah, okay. So you usually don't start a sentence with conjunctions. Uh, so let me just Google this here. So yeah, I usually won't recommend starting a sentence with conjunction simply because I was brought up with British education and it is not allowed. Things like and, but, because these three things are taboo to start a sentence with. But maybe in like new literature age, the American English accepts it, but I really just don't. You see? So over here, it's alright if it's leading on. So you have a previous sentence, you want to break it up, and then you start with a conjunction. This should be okay. But then if you start a sentence with a paragraph, okay, you start a paragraph off, and then you start that with a conjunction over here like this. I think it's a little bit too much to push through. So I wouldn't recommend that. It's risky, especially if you have nitpicky readers who are grammar Nazis and whatsoever. You might as well not do off with that. And a week ago, he had spotted. Okay, let me check this. He spotted this lovely corner building being sold. This is another one. I. How do I say this? Is it called be verb? Or is it if verb? Oh, what is that thing called again? Oh my god, my English. What verb to be? What was that thing called? Grammar. Okay, let's just do be. It's not be verb. What's that thing called? Oh my god. Okay, basically, why I highlight this time right now is being in grammar is not used. How to say? It's similar to head work. It's a passive kind of thing. So, I found it. Gerund, past, continuous. Yeah. So it's a be verb. Yeah, I got it right. It's a be verb. Okay. Yeah, be verb. Okay, let me see. Be verbs. So yeah, this is the be verb, and being is one of it, which should not be used before an action like this. Where's the being? Let me just demonstrate to you, since this is a live stream anyways. I will probably edit this out. There, over here. Be is an auxiliary verb, which is used for continuous tense. But because it is so often misunderstood, many people use it for passive things. So you want to actually describe and use being with a present kind of situation instead of using it for a past situation, which is why I would suggest removing it. Okay, for example, if I remove this entirely, okay, being sold, this lovely corner building sold for. So you can actually remove being and it makes perfect sense. It's the same thing as had bought. If you remove have and you just put bought, it's clearer and it doesn't sound as wordy. And the timeline is actually there. So sold is a past tense. Being sold is it's a passive past thing. So I would just copy this link here. Check out on B verbs. Right, so these are little things that comes in. So from what I understand, this writer has been on a 1 year hiatus. So yeah, it's pretty bad if you're on a 1 year hiatus. So no matter how good you are at English, after a 1 year hiatus, you would find a lot of things start to fall apart and become different. So it's kind of like a bicycle that hasn't been oiled. It's rusted in some places. You gotta like, clean it and oil it and restart this thing before it actually happens. So yeah, it's okay. So being sold out for 50, being sold out, it's not sold. Sold for $50,000. Okay, it was a simple building considering one large area at different. Okay, over here, this is where you exercise double corners. Had huge windows. Yeah, okay, no double corners over here, but it seemed like a double corner kind of thing. It was a simple building, considering one large area at the front that had, and the front, oh my gosh, had huge windows facing. It's a direction, not okay, facing the street. So you could, okay, okay, okay. One more thing. When writing in a perspective of a third person, keep it third person. So you is actually a second person. I would like to keep POVs consistent. POV stands for point of views. So these are the little things that I can't help but catch along the way. So you could see the people pass by. So you could see people passing by. Oh well, I will just leave it. Behind the counter, there was a simple occasion. Okay, so from here to here, it is a missing link. So I will add on. So what do I mean by missing link? Can you see that it's very abrupt? We are first talking about the building, okay? So we know that the building is coming in. And then after that, you talk about behind the counter, there was a simple kitchen. You haven't even entered the building, but already you are seeing something inside of the building and you are there. So it's kind of like a teleportation from the outside right to the inside. Okay, when you write, usually I give people the advice. It's the same advice. Write as if you are watching a movie in your head, a mental TV screen. So your mental TV screen should have a pan and zoom functions. So you don't just cut a scene abruptly before it's done, before you move on to the next scene, unless it is a swing stitch. Like, you have something and then you want to keep the readers in suspense and then you just like a horror jump and then you flash cut it back to the present reality or like the next scene, something like this. This is not the case. This should be a flow in a chronological order so that you come from the outside and then you go to the inside. It doesn't have to be a person leading it in. It could be an action leading it in. For example, over here. So you could see people pass by and then you jump cut the scene back to the inside, but you introduce the main character. So over here, the main character was not introduced. There feels it's like a gap over here. So he's not in the present, and you won't be able to identify why it's suddenly behind the counter. You want to put someone behind the counter first, talk about that person, and then introduce this point in. That's what I meant by missing link. But I will ignore that for now, so my beta reader comments is good enough. The writer has to think of a way to bridge that link, because I don't know what they are thinking, I don't know what they want, but this is what I can give as a reader. From my point of view, it's confusing. Behind the counter, there was a simple kitchen. The total space was about 70 square meters. It was enough, but it was enough. Maybe even too much for him, but for some reason, it was cheaply sold out. So over here, it's a pacing issues. Too many commas. This is also a deadly scene for many writers. You use way too many commas when you should be using full stops. It was in a somewhat quiet location, just 50 meters away from the main street, passing the city. Okay, in this situation, you could put this with the previous paragraph. as furnished details. Okay, so while I'm doing this at the same time, I'm kind of doing edits. So there are different kinds of edits. It's on my website. So this is actually the content edit stuff. The pre-proof edit, line edit. So it's before line edit. It's your developmental edit. This is when I find things that are out of place, out of flow, and then I let you know, and then the writer fixes it and polishes it up. So this is editing. It's like part of the editing package that I have. But anyways, yeah. So this sentence over here is out of joint. For example, he was outside and then moved inside, and then after that he's moving out again. So instead of moving in and out so quickly with no direct relations, he can actually, or she can actually put it up here. I use he because it's easier, okay? Just saying. So it's actually easier to actually pull this up and put it with something that's already here that is connecting. For example, 50 meters from the main street passing city A, and he was here. So it was the location facing the street with large windows. It could be joined with this paragraph up here. Can you see that? If you join it, this paragraph becomes more full, more fulfilled, and then you can put the link from the outside to the inside more smoothly and with greater details to give the reader the impact and build up the scene tension that they are looking for. So the location was perfect. Set up his drink cafe in July. Has a man. Same thing. Same thing. This thing is the same thing. So he had come. He came. He came to the city as a foreigner when he was a child, as his father's job required it. But he was lucky that most of them understood English quite well. Quite well. Over here, it should be a split sentence. The main language was still Korean that he passive again. That he learned to speak. Okay, I don't know why these particles are all over the place, but particles, please watch your particles. I have a habit to omit them. This person has a habit to add them. Why? Okay, but the main language was still Korean that he learned to speak fluently. Right now is irrelevant. That he learned to speak fluently right now seems out of place in this context because you're talking about the past. I assume that he is fluent in Korean in the past as well as now. So like it's a period of time that he's learned. So right now is not the right word. The time frame is not correct. Again with the conjunction. So I will just highlight this in purple because I've said it before. I think by the end of this author might just try and kill me because the comment sections are already up to here, but I'm just up, not even done with the first page. It's, yeah, so if you have me as a beta reader, be prepared. Be very, very prepared. So, okay. But he had always had this job to look, but, okay. Oh, びっくりした. What was that sound? Oh! Thanks for following me on Twitch. Blue Diaz? Oh, that sound scared me so bad. Oh my gosh. I should reduce the volume for these notifications. Right, so I was saying, where was I? Yeah, I was going to highlight this entire thing because this is passive AF. It's not even passive anymore, it's passive AF. Right, so I had this job to look at handsome man at the handsome man at Suits. Yeah, maybe they are, confused while writing this, which happens because your train of thoughts doesn't actually correlate with whatever you do sometimes. And drew at them. Not after. After is actually a preposition not used right. Okay. So this location was near the city's most famous companies. Near the near the city's most famous companies, and a lot of men with suits were passing this location every day. Okay, basic sentence, nothing wrong with this, but it could be improved with more flair and describing it and rephrasing it. So if it was for me, I'll use words like vicinity. So the what's that? The thesaurus is actually your best friend when writing. Okay, so location. Okay, that's why this place was perfect for him, as he could do both of his hobbies and dreams at the same time. I would question the word "do" over here. Doesn't sound right to me. Without looking like a pervert who was just randomly ogling at men on the street. Okay, so this over here, for some of you readers who don't read web novels, is actually something that happens very commonly. Web novel, for some reason, doesn't give non-contracted authors the ability to use bold or italics. You don't even have, like, moving like alignments to the center and stuff like that. No. So some of us will use asterisks. Some of us will use this thing. Some of us will use brackets. Yeah, it's just a way to say it's a line break. And there's some kind of formatting in that sense. Well, anyways. Moving on, so there's nothing wrong with this. So, okay, so after a scene cut, we move on to a conversation. Son, remember we will always be proud of you and support you. So if you ever need any money, just ask and we will happily support you even when we don't have a lot. Missing quotation? I okay, if the author is actually trying to put this together with this paragraph like as a whole thing together, and not breaking it there, I would not, you know, I would close this first because you usually don't split the conversation in between. Like if you don't want to say, like, you don't want to have a person, hey Talise, yeah, I seen you there. So if you don't want to break it out and you don't want to say who is saying this sentence, it's fine, but you still have to close it before you open it on the next one. You don't break a conversation just in between. That's not how it works. Okay, so continuing this, so when you took the loan from the bank all by yourself and said you didn't need us to waste any of our money, uh, mm, okay, nothing wrong with this, but as a kind of native English speaker, this sentence is lacking. It's lacking. Like the emotions doesn't pull through too well. It's wordy. It's wordy, but it lacks the impact that I need. So like there's something missing over here. I couldn't relate to this because I couldn't see what's happened. There is no build up to this. It came so suddenly. I had no time to actually sink myself into the scene. So he was an older man already in his 50s, but still he had come. But still he passive again. Still he came to help his son set up the cafe on its opening day. Over here. Right. So yeah, okay, so there's another conversation and da 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 da. We are proud, like your father say. Uh, okay. If I'm having to second read this, that is a huge problem. It means that my brain cannot like comprehend this capacity. Um, yeah. So if you want to, you join this whole thing. Yeah. So okay. Yeah. So basically, if my eyes stray, it's not. Yeah. Okay, Talise. It's not. It's BL, but it's not my work, and it's not Omegaverse. So I don't know what this actually is yet, but yeah, it's BL. It's BL. It's just BL. Okay, so thank you both, but it's still particles again. It's still morning, and you both need to go and rest so that you can go to both of your jobs. Well, I think the writer is not native English speaking. The phrasing is weird, but I get the message. Hugging his mother back and then giving a hug back to his father. And then I will highlight this. There are better ways to phrase it, basically. So yeah, so the pacing is a little bit more like it's telling. This part over here is something that a lot of writers, experienced writers, have been telling new writers. So it's tell versus show, show versus tell. So you want to actually show more than you tell. Over here, it's going to be a very emotional parting scene. So what I'm looking at is the actions to describe the scene that's happening to indulge in it. But it feels very lacking. It's just telling here. So yeah, this show versus tell is something that readers usually won't know, but as a writer, this is something that I would feedback. So yes, we will go now, but call if something happens. So after this small interaction, Martin headed back inside of his very own cafeteria. Is inside. Okay, at this point, of his very own cafeteria becomes redundant, but because he or she wants to actually put this as cafeteria handsome cats, I think it's better to split the sentence. Okay, so he was letting them roam around a specific area that was a separated area, a specific area that was a separate area, a specific area that was separated from the yeah, it's just a thing for me, it's a specific area that was separated from the area. I'm thinking like 3 times now. Yeah, so use the thesaurus for this, or rephrase it in some way that doesn't have area too close to each other, where customers could eat and okay, this is just gonna be highlighted. I don't know what's going on. Uh, as he was not going to let them into the kitchen at all or near the tables and the tables where people would eat. Or near the tables and the tables where people eat. Tables and tables and tables of. Yeah, yeah. You know the drill. Okay, so the next one. The area and the area and the area. Okay, never mind. The area was quite large for the kids and it had huge glass windows with a door that the customers could use to go if they wanted. Okay, I know what the author is trying to do over here. They're trying to actually describe the scene, like the inside and everything, but honestly, this should be done slowly, one at a time, with how do I say this? With sequence. Like for example, when you're shooting a movie, okay? You take an overview first. You take an overview, you describe the setting. So, for example, it's a casual theme, something like this. And then you zoom into a certain area of interest. Oh, this is my highlight. This is my specialty. This is where all the cats roam. This is a specific cat room. And then it's right beside, and you pen zoom over. This is right beside where my customers are. And then you talk about the customer setting and stuff like that, his plans, his dreams. And you can inject all these little things in for more details so that the reader can actually feel part of this place. And then you pen zoom into a detailed version of things. Like, oh my god, take a look at this. It's a custom counter that I actually spent a lot of money or a lot of time doing. And it's made of, I don't know, mahogany wood or like, maple wood or like the tree that the lightning struck down in my backyard. And then we used it for this counter because I thought it bring good luck or something like this. This little bit of information actually adds value on the overall when you're describing scenes. It feels more alive. Right now, it just feels like it is telling, just like, oh, we have this, we also have this, we have this, we have this, we have this. It's like a waiter at a restaurant who hands you a menu, tells you everything that there is on the menu when you could read it. It's not giving you information like, oh, we would recommend chicken because chicken is our chef's specialty. We actually do it differently from the other restaurants. We use white wine. We use, yeah, you gotta sell stuff that's different in that sense. Okay, Talise is asking, near the customer tables where they would eat. Yeah, that's the I'm questioning too. So it's repetitive. That's why I highlighted it. So like, if you're a reader and you find something wrong, that's something. So I'm just gonna highlight this entire thing and put a comment. So, for example, when you write this kind of scenes, it's actually very helpful to imagine that you are doing a live tour of this place. So, for example, you take a cam and you say, "Welcome, guys. This is my, my whatever. Like, this is my new cafe. I bought this for I don't know, 50 grand. It was like located on Manhattan Street. And take a look outside this huge ass window. There's a lot of people passing by, and my favorite is the one who wears suits." That kind of thing. And then you pan on to the inside. You're like, check out the inside. This is a 2,000 square feet kind of perimeter and stuff like this. And then say, on one end over here, we have the customer's place. It's decorated in like, maybe a green and a blue theme because it's my favorite color. And then after you pan zoom to the other part and then say, oh, this is the cat's room. So our cafe is actually specialized in providing fluffy comfort in the forms of my two adorable cats that I picked up on the streets and blah 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 blah. So you're gonna give them a backstory. You're gonna indulge them into the experience, and you don't want to just simply move on and like chop chop move on. We're done with this part. Chop chop move on. We're done with this part. No, this is your beloved cafe. You bought this. You work for this. You want to show them what it is actually like. You want to be thrilled over every single thing that happens. You don't want to just, oh, this is it, then oh, that is another thing, and oh, my mom did this for me. Okay, we're moving on. We're done. Let's open for the day. No, it's you like the enthusiasm and the hype for this. I don't feel the hype. So yeah, so it's a cat cafe. She wanted to fantasize about some handsome man in a suit while the cat was in his lap. Of course, you wouldn't say that aloud. Okay, nothing wrong with this. He prepared everything and was checking the whatever, and he had baked already. He passive again. He baked. Wow, pre passive while preparing items. The items for the breads of a customer who would order one. I will just highlight this because I don't understand. Okay, today was the only day you could order bread directly from the counter. Oh, I see now. Okay, so this part over here is linked to this part over here. So I'm assuming it's a promotion. Hmm. Okay, so in this case, this entire thing should be a promotion arc. So promotion of the cafe starts with bread. Right. So before anything can happen, like I know you're enthusiastic to move into the food porn, but first you gotta tell people the introduction of this thing. Like, oh, it's a promotion thing, and then we have all these things that's going to happen, and let me take you down the experience journey. So first thing, we're going to have croissants or something like this, and then you could say, oh, we have to prepare this kind of things, and then you have to say, oh, we're deciding where to place this on the display windows and stuff like that. See, so all these comes in, but first, before any of these things come in, you gotta make sure that people understand this is a one-time promotion thing. What is the purpose for this promotion? You might want to add that in because some readers would question it. Okay, so once I'm done with it, so I'm finally on page two, page three. Okay. So, but as he was opening today late and it was already lunchtime. Oh, big Krishna, this is the second time tonight. Oh my. Dogs eat homework. I would agree. Thank you for following me on Twitch. The sound notif scares me so much. How do I change it? All right. So as I was saying, where was I? Oh my god, the sound shocked me out of it. As he was opening late today and it was already lunch. Okay, here. And it was already lunchtime. Mm, he could or she could afford to explain the hurry in here rather than just moving it on and pushing the story over by telling. So over here, I would actually see that it's okay. Yeah, I need to find a way to actually reduce the volume for my Streamlabs notifications for Twitch. But thank you for following. Yeah, so I was saying, so and this part over here, I find that it was slightly lacking because I was looking forward to his reaction. Can you imagine? It's your cafe. It's the first day. You're extremely excited to be opening, and you had so many things gone wrong on the first day, and you realize that by the time you are done opening your cafe, it's already lunchtime, and you're like, oh no, my breakfast items are now not gonna be sold because it's lunchtime. Can you imagine that kind of feeling? Yeah, so I was looking forward to a little bit more drama in that sense to see how the character reacts. Like not everybody is a drama king or queen. They don't react like, oh my god, I'm gonna cry, I wanna die in a hole, I'm not fit to be a cafe owner. Not everybody reacts this way. Some people will be like, holy hell, it's lunchtime. I should be working on my lunch menu. Where the hell is my lunch menu? I only have croissants. Who the fuck would eat croissants at lunchtime? You know, that kind of thing. So you get to see the characters inside through this thing. Oh, to dogs eat homework. I am not a professional editor, but I am a writer who's been writing for a while. So I didn't go to writing school. I actually worked in finance. Like I have a degree in business management, and I worked in accounts for a while, and then I quit my job, and now I'm a piano teacher, and because I can't make writing work. Yeah, I'm not a professional editor. Don't worry. I'm just doing proofreading and beta reading. So like these are some of my personal opinions. Like it could be wrong. People could disagree, but I'll try to respect every opinion that comes by because I think that I can learn from them. And those that I can't learn from them and are like fully toxic is just yeah. I'm not a professional editor, but thank you so much. All right, so yeah, so he was heating the soup, and then suddenly, while he was like, making the breakfast menu, and then the lunchtime thing, and then after that, he's like, he was heating. So it's kind of like a drastic, pew, you just jump over to nowhere. I I would ease in the opening of the cafe rush, and then making the soup portions of it. So I would like to see a little bit of, you could put in a little bit of shokugeki. For those of you who don't know, I'm actually an anime nerd. So shokugeki is an anime that teaches you all about cooking the artistic way. So over here we can add a little bit of food porn or artistic cooking. So yeah, you can like chop the ingredients and then make the knife fly and then everything just toss it in the air and catch it all in the pan and then just like, yeah, this is the kind of thing that you can do in writing. It's why it's fun, you see. So, this is one part that you can actually improve and play with it and then suddenly, oh my god, I have way too many words to talk about, but it's so fun doing this. Yeah, so and then he was doing all this and then suddenly his concentration was broken by the sound of the first bell and the first customer coming in. Yeah, so at this part, you at this part over here, I would imagine them to be like really excited. Like I want to see their reactions over here. Can you be like, oh my god, do I look okay? Is my hair in place? Do I look messy? Should I go and greet my customer? Is he handsome? That kind of thing. It's a character kind of thing. So I want to see the character's reaction over here. Yeah, so it'll be even funnier if the customer comes out to be a woman and then he's like, oh darn, it's just a girl. Who the hell cares about my hair? That kind of thing. It shows more insight to how your character really is and it can be humorous. Aww, thanks, Talise. Oh, it's not pro editing. Just a live streamer who doesn't really know things. So yes. Oh, okay. Blue Dias. So you started writing today because you felt like it. Well, any day to me is a good day to write if you feel like it. I mean, yeah, it's more like exploring. You don't have to like something forever. Like, enough is enough. But if you try something because you like it, at least you know that you don't like it by the end of it. I don't think it's anything lost. Personal philosophy. Like, I haven't tried bungee jumping, but I will do it one day, and it doesn't mean I'll be bungee jumping forever. Just for the experience. Like, once is enough. For some people, it's once is enough. But I would suggest taking it easy because if you just started writing, writing it's like a sport that requires a lot of stamina. It's not something that you run 100-meter sprint and then you're done. No, it's like a full blown marathon. So you would want to pace yourself. You won't start running first. You'd start walking first, just to know that your legs wouldn't break halfway through. Yeah, that is what writing feels like. But if you have like content, comments, and whatever not that you like to see me cover in like future streams, maybe, or vlogs on YouTube and stuff like that, yeah, I can do that. I can even write it on my blog as one of the topics for one of the, on my website if you like it. But I don't have a lot of time, so I have to prioritize. Okay, before this stream ends up being a 4 hour. Okay, where am I? Right, so when Martin saw the customer, his eyes almost fell out of the socket. So this is his reaction after customer, right? So it's more amusing that way. And then he sees the customer and he's like, Doki Doki moment. His eyes almost fell out of his socket. And over here, too, for some reason, I don't know why this sounds like Slenderman in here. It sounds like semi-horror. Who asked in Korean, can I have a cup of coffee and a simple sandwich with cheese, ham, lettuce, preferably white bread? After looking through the menu and different bread and filling options. I think it's like, okay, he's not handsome enough. If you look at handsome men, you look at Korean men, you actually know they have like, different features, like maybe angular features, like, maybe this guy is exactly Martin's type. You want to describe Martin's type. So his voice, how does his voice sound like? If it's One Piece and it's Pika, suddenly it's like a buff man and then it's like a soprano voice. So does his voice actually sound like with a growl? Does he have a wild side? Or is he like the gentleman, the kind of smooth businessman, CEO kind of vibes? You want to actually simp over these details, if you get what I mean. Oh, Talis is scared of bungee jumping? You're scared of heights? Bungee jumping is not heights, it's the reducing of heights. So you're only scared when you stand there. If I push you down, you won't be scared anymore. You get closer to the ground. There's no height. You should come with me bungee jumping one day. Oh, so Blue Daya said that you started writing. Oh, you had like three super weird and complex dreams, and then you started writing about them. And you're reaching 1,000 words already. So that's good progress. Okay, in cases like this, it's a spur in the moment kind of writing. I would advise, you you control that urge to, you would run out of steam fast. So write that dream down. Just write it down first in as much details as you can before you actually get to writing the actual story in the dream, so that you don't forget details, because it's very easy to forget what we dream of. I keep a dream diary because of this, because like I sleep and then I wake up and then I have dreams and I'm like, oh my god, this can be a full-fledged movie. And then 6 months later I'm gonna write that dream and I forgot all the details. So it's good to keep a dream diary, write all these things down, and from there you can start plotting it out, like planning the content that you want. For example, is it going to be a one shot? How many words is it going to be? How long is it going to be? How many chapters do you want it to be? And write accordingly to the plan instead of the dream, because sometimes you write according to the dream and you find, hey, this part doesn't make sense, and then you want to change it and improve it. So this is the part of a writer that actually helps. It's called planning, writing, plotting. So I don't think I've covered this yet. Yeah, so planning methods differ from writer. You can find online, there are a lot of other writers teaching about these things. So hopefully that helps. I don't know why Restream didn't give me this comment here. I had to go to Twitch itself to see it. Okay. Right, so I was here. So like, yeah. Right, so we have Martin, the simp. We want to see the simp details on this new customer, this new man. Right? And it's not enough for me. It's just not enough for me, right? So, and this is chapter one, only chapter one, but thank goodness we're almost at the end. So, oh yes, customer, coffee machine is here. There are different mark sizes, and if you take it with you, there are paper marks next to them. Aye. Okay, so interestingly, this is actually, I don't know if any cafes do this, but it is a self-service cafe, self-service coffee machine. Oh my god, can you imagine like a lot of people just come in and then with like tumblers, empty tumblers, and you just go up to the machine and hit the button to just fill it off, and free coffee for days, you know? Wait, okay, this is a very interesting aspect. Okay, so you don't just have to comment things that are no good, okay? You can comment things that are funny, things that come to mind as a beta reader. For me, it's like, oh my god, okay, this is a new concept. Yeah, so I'm the kind of beta reader with no kind of filters. So yeah, okay. Right. And then he started to make the bread ready. He started to make the bread for the customer who was waiting for the coffee to brew while ogling him up as much as it could. Okay, at this part over here, I am thirsty for details, and there are no details for me. What part is he oogling at? Oh, is he oogling at his biceps? Is he oogling at his ass? Is he oogling at the suit that clings to his very fit form? I need details here, man. I need details to get into it. Okay, so it's not enough for me here. Okay, so and when he was ready, he came to the counter and asked out. I don't know what this is. Oh, where's my highlighter? Okay. So how much is this worth of? Is not necessary. Don't try to end up sentence with a preposition. How much is this worth, Martin? Who gave him the wrapped bread? Is it the bread or sandwich? I can't help but wonder. So over here, it's like maybe I'm crazy, but I would like to name my menu something like this. So it's a cat theme. Why not make it a cat sounding sandwich bread name? So like you could have turkey sandwich, you can have like Monday Blue turkey sandwich, or you can have Yummy Henwich. So it's like a not a sandwich but a ham sandwich, but it's like cat theme. So it's like a paw kneaded bread or something like that. That kind of thing I'm looking at. Yeah. So wrap bread just doesn't sit right with me. It's not enough. Alright, Blue Dias, go for it. Finish writing whatever you need to write before you completely forget it. Though I would suggest keeping a dream diary in future so that you can reference it. And I would agree, dreams are very out of this world, so you have no creative blocks, no creative restructuring, no creative red tapes. You just go about it. It's like the best source of inspiration, and I swear that a lot of good things come from dreams. Right, so this is not enough for me. Like, definitely not enough for me. It's not gonna be enough for me. Right, so you're simping, not hard enough. So he says $4. It's like $4 miserable, just one customer? Okay, so while looking at a man from closer and seeing how handsome a human could be. Okay, I like this part. Seeing how handsome a human could be. So I could only imagine how handsome he is, but I would like to see in Martin's perspective how handsome this guy truly is. So a little bit more description in the front could help me out with that. Right, so the man gave the money, so you could say, so you could say paid for it instead of gave the money. Before suddenly wiping his left cheek that has some leftover cream from desserts. Where did he get this from? Before licking his fingers and saying, yeah, delicious. I'll remember this place and come back. While taking his coffee and bread and heading out. And bread. Before heading out. So Marty, who was beat red from the sudden action, couldn't say anything. He was just hiding his face when he was sure that the customer left. He peeked out and made sure that he was alone. What was his reaction after this? He was just red and hiding his face. I want to know his inner thoughts. Here, before we end it, it's a very unsatisfying end. It's not even a cliffhanger. So like over here, it's not a cliffhanger, so I wouldn't be like, hungry for the next chapter. No, not at all. Alright. So for this, I would recommend changing it up. So you can actually end it with a question. So it's an opening question. You can end it like he says he's gonna do something, but he hasn't done anything. And then you could also say something like, oh, maybe I've seen this man somewhere before, but I can't remember where. And then you just leave the readers hanging to imagine, oh my god, did he meet him in high school? Or oh my god, is he an Instagram fan, a fanboy? That kind of thing. So those are actually good suggestions for cliffhangers in case anyone is wondering. That's how you actually end a chapter on a good note. A good note for the writer, but a bad note for the reader. So if your readers are cursing you because they want to know what's next and you haven't updated the next chapter, take it as a good sign, okay? It's a good thing. Your readers love you. They're just very frustrated that you are torturing them, but this is the sign of power and a sign of a successful author. Right, so we are finally done with the first chapter, which took us about, I don't know, an hour. Oh my god, it takes an hour for one chapter. Am I gonna die? I might die tonight. Okay, so that was all the comments. Let's just take a look how many comments there is. Oh my god, there are way too many comments. You can't even see the top of it. Am I gonna get in trouble? I think I might be fired if anyone actually employed me. And good thing I'm not a professional entertainer. Like editor, not a professional editor. Okay, I'm a professional entertainer, but I'm not a professional editor. There's like way too many comments. Can you see all the comments over here? It doesn't even stack up. It's not stacking up. It stacks up too much. You gotta zoom out. Okay, let's see. If I zoom out, like all the way out, do I see my stuff out there? I think I overdid it, but okay. Yeah. Okay, if I zoom out, I only see here and there are more on top. Like they're all just stacked over here at the side. Okay, not a good sign. Not a good sign. Me be darned. The customer was a hot Korean idol and bet my fangirl dreams on it. Yeah, I know, right? So can you imagine if your customer and your whatever is just a solid fan, and then you're like, oh my gosh, I've seen this guy before, but he's so gay, and then you wouldn't think of it because he looks so different. But then it's like the only person who recognizes this hot Korean idol is just like this gay cafe owner with cats, and then his cat knocks off his head, and the makeup comes off, and he's like, oh, I know you. You're from TV. You're from my favorite idol. And you know, and then the romance sparks off, and then the idol blackmails him and stuff like that. Okay, I'm just like derailed and like going off track, but any case, yeah, that could happen, you see. But I don't know the story itself because I'm not given the title. I'm not given the story synopsis. All I'm given is just a chapter, and the file title is like Cafe BL novel. It's just not a title, and I'm just like, okay, I'm living for this. It's okay. I can make do with my imagination. It's way too much imagination, but it's enough to share with the world. The world lacks imagination. So yeah, that's just chapter 1, by the way. I took an hour for chapter 1. I have 3 chapters today. I have like 2 from this one, which is not complete, by the way. It's like 1 page, 2 page. Okay, 2 and something else. Okay, not too bad. And then after we have this zombie sci-fi fig, which is also from the same author, but I'm not given anything else, so I gotta make do with this. And I mean, yeah, I written like a similar thing, like survival bunker system developer with ring them and stuff like that. But at the same time, I'm a little bit overwhelmed because when I see things like numbers, I just want to sleep. No offense. Number and I are like, you know, I have a job in finance previously, but you know, it's not my cup of tea, mainly because I have to with numbers, and when I see numbers, I get very stressed. Which is why I'm teaching piano right now, and believe it or not, music also has numbers. I don't know why, like the world is out there to torture me with numbers. Like, why do we even learn math? We only need to learn math to order a burger from McDonald's, and that's it. You gotta learn your dollars and cents, and that's it. I wish they'd teach me how to pay my taxes properly and stuff like that. But no, school's like, you gotta know your equations, you gotta know algebra. Have you ever used algebra in real life? At your jobs? Not me, no. So frustrated. Okay, so we move on to chapter 2, and then from this, I see Martin, the gay owner, and then now I see, what did I do there? Choi Hyun. And Choi Hyun is a Korean name, so I'm gonna be thinking, is this the hot guy at the cafe? But I'm very lost at the same time, like, who is this? So he's an average guy working at a company named Food Revolution. So in this part over here, I would suggest rephrasing it, like putting this up and then putting that down, so that you have an setting. My new home, welcome to a new chapter, a new scene. We're not talking about the same guy who is a gay owner, a gay cafe owner with cats. No, we're talking about a different guy right now. So, which is why it is a risk usually for writers to switch your perspectives, which I've mentioned. If you want to write in a third perspective, keep it third perspective. If you want to write in the perspective of your main character, do it for your main character. If you're gonna switch from your main character to your female lead or your male lead or the second main character, you gotta let people know this is my second main character. So from the guy who makes soups and bread, you're gonna get a guy who works in a company and like sit on a computer and stuff like that. Yeah. Otherwise, I'll be lost. Yeah, so these are just some writer stuff. Oh my god, my spelling. Certified typoist, don't sue. Okay. So the company focused on inventing new possible food and tools for cooking. Okay, so we get food revolution. And then they were an average company, but they had invented some of the best tools for the market. So, okay, so this is actually telling in this case, in this sense. Okay, so I want to know, for example, what are some of your best available tools that they created? What are things that people know them for that they brag about? Oh, we have made a several thousand, several hundred million target in sales in the last year, and we're ranked in like the Forbes, even though we are a company of only 20 people, etc., etc. So this is something that I want to know in order to understand if this is a prestige company, a small but prestige company, to know that, oh, is my daddy over here a good one? Like, is my daddy over here gonna be able to pay bills? Okay, so he works at Food Revolution, but is that just it? Is there a bigger secret? Is he like the brain behind this company, etc., etc.? So you want to know the value of this company in order to give your main character or your main side character's love interest something to die for. So this is not enough. Just telling they're an average one, but you don't have any credentials. It's just like telling me, oh, I'm rich. But then you don't show me your paychecks. You don't show me your bank accounts. You don't show me your car, your house. You don't wear branded stuff. It's like, you want me to believe you're rich? Yeah, it's the same thing. So, okay, so they were at the food sector, scouting for ideas for new dishes and blah, blah, blah. And he saw the new cafe. And when he stepped in, there was this really cute but shy clerk. Clerk? Clerk? Cashier. Clerk is for office, isn't it? Suggestion. Pretty sure this is. Oh, I spelled it wrong. Oh my god, embarrassing. It's okay, I edited this. Okay, so it's like cashier. Clerk is for the office, by the way, people. Okay, you have sexy clerks, but you have hot cashiers. Right, and then so he wanted to flirt around, but he was too busy because of work. And when he'd seen the whipped cream of his chick, he automatically. Okay, yeah, so okay, we can see over here. This daddy is a playboy. But we also know that daddy is whipped. Daddy is whipped for his Martine. And then over here it's like that. Oh my god, you're a big dog and a big sap. Okay, but I want to highlight something over here. So don't break this again. Okay. So will he call the police immediately and kick me out of the cafe? Like, why would he kick you out of the cafe? You didn't do anything wrong. Unless you want to jump on him and rape him. Like, yeah, please, FBI, open up. Opening his rip again. Sandwich. Suggestion: sandwich. It's a modern day term. Okay. Right, so, and then he says, this is quite good. I really hope that I can get back to see the clerk. Once again, and apologize for my behavior. Apologize for what behavior? Okay, so like I said, this one, for those of you who were not on my earlier part of the stream, it's actually something that's common for web novels. So earlier I saw a consistency thing. He puts, or she puts a full stop over here. So I want to highlight this as well. I am very particular about this kind of things because it's your writing style. You're gonna be consistent. So, for example, can you see over here? The next day, he has a full stop. She has a full stop. And you move it all the way down, and then it's like at the cafe, no full stop. Do you want to keep the consistency here? That's why I'm gonna point it out. Okay, as a beta reader, you don't have to do this, but this is just me being an ass. Okay, we use full stops in British English, but for Americans, you would know this term as period. But I don't like to use the word period because it relates to my mind as bloody and painful and grumpy, so no. My period is not here yet. I wish it was, but it's irregular AF. Okay, so moving on. So the customer was so handsome. Okay, so at the cafe, the customer was so handsome, but I haven't gotten over the incident. His brains were showing the memory again and again. So over here, I would give a suggestion. It's too many words. So in order to give a more effective and concise manner of feedback, you want to put suggestions. So replaying is a word. Replaying the scene. And maybe he replays the part of the wiping off the cream from the cheek, and then he's like oh my god, he made contact with my face, that kind of thing. And then he tries to dramatize it, like, oh my god, his hands feel so manly, that kind of thing. Yeah, so like, for the purpose of entertainment, this could be done. Right, so all he could think of was how handsome it is. So I want to know exactly how handsome. So yeah, I am just like, I need details. Handsome is a generic term. We have handsome men all over the world, but what kind of handsome are we looking at? I want to look at the kind of handsome that is, oh, maybe we have deep set blue eyes, and maybe he's like tall, maybe he has curly hair, something like, oh, he's built, or maybe he has a jaw shape that is completely like an anime style, or maybe he has long lashes. That kind of thing defines the handsome. I need details. I don't just want handsome. I want to know how handsome he is. Is it his sun-kissed skin and stuff like that? Or the subtle stubble that appears and you're like, oh my god, actually this man is a bear, but in a suit. That kind of handsome? I need details. So when he talk about, yeah, I knew this. See, every good writer will know the good bits. So it's like the fingers and how the customer slowly licked it clean and stuff like that. Okay, maybe over here. So you want to dramatize it again. So you want to add a comparison to highlight how this affects him completely and makes him into a puddle of goo. Also, we want to know if Junior is affected. Just saying. Okay, so this stream is actually not safe for children. If you are children and you are like, below 18 and you have never known BL, please leave now. Okay, we're going south. Slightly south. My directions are no good, but you know what I mean. So yeah, he gave a friendly slap to his cheeks before asking from himself. It's not right. So asking himself. Okay, before asking himself, what are you thinking about now? You couldn't be possibly interested. This again. Okay, you couldn't be possibly interested about the man you just met and saw. Met and saw redundant. So met and saw means the same thing. Choose one. So yeah, if you're a beta reader, you don't have to actually do this met and saw. It's not required. So yeah, if he was just thinking about how it would taste, but he was just okay, if this is going to be part of his thought dialogues and whatever nots, I think it would be better to just put it in the quotation mark. Otherwise, you could opt for a third person retelling of these thoughts. So yeah, there are two ways to go about doing this, but keep it consistent. If you are the kind who want to always put this in quotation bubbles, please do so and keep it consistent. If you are the kind who just refuses to do that because adding shift and typing that quotation just ruins your writing pace, then don't. Yeah, so basically, this is what I have to say about this. And then, okay, so before his mind could invent more dirty things, the bell made the noise once again. The bell made the noise. The bell rang. Suggestion. Once again, indicating that a possible customer, possible customer. I think the word that they're searching for here is potential. Okay, so Martin took his professional took. I think it's not the right word over here. They don't seem native. Martin took his professional smile once again and sweetly asked from from behind the counter. From us. Okay, you know what? Never mind. Just and quickly and sweetly asked the customer, uh what would you want today? What would you want today? If I am going to be the person working at the cafe, and if I'm the customer who comes in, what would you want today? It doesn't sound completely, how do I say? Okay, you're in Korea. Korea is like very polite. They don't go, this is very direct. So maybe it's in Martin's culture to do this. I am not very sure. But you know, he could be prejudiced against the customer because it's a woman in the 20s. So yeah, what would you want today? Mm, I would. The usual thing to say over here is, "How can I help you?" So yeah, this is personal opinions that you can add in if you're a beta reader, and there's nothing right, there's nothing wrong with this. So this is just how I would do it. But usually customer services are kind of like 101. Your customer service 101 manual. It doesn't matter if you're in a call center, or if you're working the front lines, or if you're a cashier, or you're like, you know, just outside giving out flyers. It's the whenever someone comes in, a potential customer, you greet them and say, いらっしゃいませ. And it's like, how can I help you? That kind of thing, you know? You greet them first and then you ask, how can I help you? How may I help you? You know, even at the hotel concierge, the desk counter service, it's always, how can I help you? Nobody asks what would you want today. It's odd. Like for me, it's odd. Like maybe in Singapore, but I don't know other countries. I'm pretty sure it's universal. How may I help you? How can I help you? What do you want today? The what do you want today sounds kind of rude for me. I don't know. Maybe you're from a different country. You can advise me. How do people from the customer service usually greet and talk to their potential customers? I have not come across something like that. Maybe in the country of this author, they ask, "What would you want?" I don't know, but not in Korea, not in Asia, not here, not in yeah. Okay, moving on. Okay, see. Okay. Okay, so I was wondering uh, what the current soup is you are marketing at the cafe for today is as you were marketing that the as that the cafe has soup for lunch, right? This part here sounds weird. I'm just gonna highlight. They gotta think of a way to rewrite this. Okay, so yes, we have a simple chicken soup with various herbs, and if you have allergies, I can list the ingredients for you. And then don't split this. Literally, please don't. Oh my god, my brain hurts seeing this. Okay, so with the soup, you can take a piece of bread from there. Bread basket that was next to that soup. While saying it's not needed. So okay, a lot of things. One more thing I want to point out. A lot of authors think that every quotation that you say has to be every speech that you make has to be ended with some kind of word that has said or a variation of it. Honestly, you don't have to. You can just link it with an action. So instead of saying said, you can just link it with the action. It's not required. It's not necessary. You actually shouldn't have to do this. I don't know. Maybe it's just a me thing. It might be a me thing. Okay, but whatever. Okay, so this is just a little thing from my side. Okay, so I actually like this part over here that they said here. If you have allergies, it means that this person is actually thoughtful. Wait, what? Okay, what happened to my internet? Okay, is my internet back? Can someone in chat viewing my streams just let me know? Shout out if my thing is working. Otherwise, I will, like, just continue and hope that this doesn't break on me. I don't know why, but today it just hates me. Maybe Sunday is a day that people are like, oh my god, I'm just gonna hog the internet. Yeah, so this part over here, I want to highlight that it actually shows the character is actually thoughtful because they think of people's allergies, which honestly, I don't think every restaurant or every place highlights this. They should, but they don't. That's sad. But it's okay. So if you have allergies, please always check before you start eating anything. Don't assume. Always ask. Like my mom's vegetarian, so we always have to ask, is there like onions or garlic or mushrooms or egg? Because these are things that she can't eat other than the obvious, which is meat. So we usually ask even at a vegetarian store just to know, and then they say, oh yeah, we have this inside, or we don't know, we're not sure, or oh, you can custom stuff. Yeah, then it's okay. So yes, this is just social responsibility, right? And then okay, so they say they describe all these things. Okay, and then on the next page there is the sweets and okay. The sweets and cakes, and if you want to order a cake specifically for some occasion, it will be possible. But okay, so over here, so suggestion edit is to write it as a reservation. So yeah, you can actually introduce the reservation system the cafe has to let us readers know that these are things that the cafe offers, and you can see Martin's business sense a little bit into that to give an overview of his work scope and what he does. It's not just oogling at hot guys every day, just saying, like to give him a more like busy profile, because you say he was hardworking, but so ruling over people who are good looking. So no, not really. So this side is to like just give brownie points and cookies and make him a more likable person. That's what it is basically. Right, so you can see all the stationery items on the shelf here, and no, 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 station, huh? Okay, I'm just going to highlight this because I don't know what they are talking about. Is it the non-movable items? Like maybe you can mm, mm, stationary. That doesn't mean non-movable because this term is really odd. So yeah, it's not something I can make sense of, and I don't really want to assume anything. So I'm just gonna put this here that I'm unclear what he is referring to. Is he looking at the cakes? Is he looking at the bread? Is he looking at the soup? Or is it like the self-help things? So I don't know what this term is referring to. I can't make assumptions. Okay, so like my stream is kind of being wonky and chunky and crappy, but my god, okay, I might not be able to do this. I wanna cry, I wanna cry, I wanna cry, I wanna cry. Why do you do this to me today, of all days? I wanna cry, I just wanna cry. Why do you do this to me? I hate you so much, internet. Come on. Okay, are we back? Can someone on stream tell me if I'm back? Am I dead? I might be dead. Okay, in any case, I'll just continue and hope that, it goes well with the stream. I don't know if I can salvage any of these clips for my highlights, but I will try anyways. So yeah, like I was saying, so this term is actually really odd. I don't want to assume anything, so I'm just going to place it over here. So he has a marketing speech. This is actually very interesting. So what is he trying to sell her? Hmm. Oh, okay, good. So the stream is working. Yeah, okay, thanks. I don't know, man. My internet hates me. Absolutely freaking hates me today. So yeah, I will try to use the restream chat instead. Twitch is dying on me. YouTube is dying on me. I don't exactly know what's going on, but I will try. So okay, so this part of marketing speech actually has me thinking, what kind of jobs has this main character Martin been working? This marketing speech, was it taught to him? Where did he learn it from? How does it sound like? Because honestly speaking, I don't have very high opinions of Martin. If this is his marketing speech, it's not convincing enough. What is he trying to sell? Yeah, so I just don't, I don't have very high opinions. So let me just add on to this. So in the marketing speech, there must be an introduction, there must be a temptation, there must be a reason for people to buy things as well as a call to action. I don't know how I know all this, but I just know all this. So yeah. Yeah, so this part over here can be a little bit more like, I need something more detailed, more convincing, more like, oh, you want this, you definitely need this, you can afford it, it's very worth it for your money, that kind of thing, you know. Yeah, I need this kind of thing. It's gonna be a marketing speech. Okay. So like over here means that he was extremely distracted, which we already knew, so that's fine. And then he says, okay, she says, I'll take the soup. Let's see about the sweets. And this apostrophe thing again. Okay, now apostrophes, please revise them. Apostrophes are actually things that you put when you want to make it a possessive noun, but this is not a possessive noun. This is plural, okay? Plural, do not need an apostrophe s. Another common mistake that a lot of people do, even experienced authors, is the oh, what's that? Yeah, what's that? My my brain suddenly froze. The word it's. So for example, it's versus it's. I will Google it up for the sake of the people on stream now, just in case anyone is curious. Here, this one. This is a common question. Is it it's or is it it's? So it's with apostrophe s is actually a short form for it is. It's with s and no apostrophe is actually a possessive one. So you're trying to make this over here. So the easiest is here. So it's a contraction. It's with apostrophe s. It's something like isn't. Okay, you get an apostrophe t. That is what it is. But no, you don't put sweets with like apostrophe s and call it plural. No, this is just not. Can I just highlight this and put like a comment here so that the author can check it out? Okay, yeah. So like I put notes here just so that the author can actually follow up. I'm not saying that, it's anything. It's just me as a writer, not a beta reader. A beta reader doesn't really know this unless a beta reader is also a grammar freak. Then yes, please do. Right, so I started scroll through the street. Scroll. I'm gonna question this over here. Scroll. What device? So like I don't think it was mentioned as we're reading it through with me. I don't think there was any of these things. So I can't say for sure, but I think it's a e-menu. So not exactly like a menu. So they only mentioned a menu, which I would assume it's a paper form kind of thing. But apparently it's probably an e-menu, which I honestly have no clue and I don't want to make assumptions. Therefore, I'm going to put this as a comment over here for the author to go through once I'm done. Okay, so she ordered. Okay, non-stationary items section. Non-stationary items section. Okay, in this part, I might have an idea what stationary and non-stationary items are. Could it be the ones on the menu? So it's like the one that you can scroll, non-stationary, and the ones that you cannot scroll are stationary. So is that what it meant? But the way of packaging this and saying it is very unclear. So I have a lot of question marks, and if I cannot follow, I think there will be readers like me who would find it difficult as well. So trays and bowls that are there with the spoon. So I pointed where the line would start. Line. I got questions here as well. So like when he was giving or she was giving the cafe tour, there was no mention that it's a buffet style and self-help thing. So I would like to actually see this being elaborated more. I just growing. It's not even something that gives me information and feeds me along the way. I don't even know the concept of this cafe anymore. So like give me an introduction, give me an overall, give me a brief top down. How does this operation work like? Do they first come in the door and they go to the cats and then they get used by the cats and then they move on to the e-menu and then they order something and then they collect it from the line and self up themselves and get to the seat and get to the counter? Or is the payment even E for those that are not takeaways? Like what is the procedure? What is the concept of this cafe? Sure, it is a cat cafe, but even the cat cafe can be different. So in here, I see e-menus, I see lines, I see self-out coffee machines, and then I just don't know where this goes anymore. Where are the cats? Do the people come here for the food or do they come here with the cats? Are the cats not mascots? Are they not seducing customers? Are they not doing the jobs? They're just eating there and living for free and not getting paid? What's this? Okay, so I have a lot of questions at this point, which can be resolved if chapter 1 was done in a more systematic manner to ease us into this thing. So like the pen zoom from the outside and you go to the inside. Is this a high-tech cafe? Is this a cafe that's meant to just hold customers and give them like a paradise kind of thing? Or is this cafe like because the owner doesn't want to employ people, so he invests a lot into technology and self-help, and it's based on a trust and honor system? Is that going to be how it is? I don't really know, and it's the author's job to actually tell us readers how this works. Therefore, as a beta reader, I can only point this out. So next time you can immediately go there, and next time, so he's already assuming that she'll come back. So is he being like a little bit pushy or stuff like that? I feel like he can be a little bit insensitive. So instead of next time, Martin, the character can actually apologize first, and then after that make it up to this lady and stuff like that, and maybe in business techniques it's usually very easy to give coupons, apologize. So in this case I'll just leave a note for the author to consider the content. So yeah, these are things that you can look at. Okay, Zach is actually a American spelling, so I will leave it as that. I'm British educated, so okay. So he said while bowing slightly down. So bowing slightly down. Okay, I won't question this, but like I said earlier, you don't have to end every quotation, every speech with the word said. So he bowed slightly. That would be enough. That would be sufficient for this. I know exactly what's going on. Okay. And then the next one is the water with the mugs is here. Water with the mugs. This is actually plural. So when you are ready with the soup, I will give you the cheesecake. I'm gonna get the soup as much as you want. Okay, so I've confirmed over here at this point. This is a self-help thing. Okay, I don't know what's wrong with this, but anyways, it doesn't seem right over here because water is uncountable, and then after you have mugs, so it's like water with the mugs. So is it giving him? Is he giving her the water? Or he's giving her like multiple mugs, or is it like a self-help thing? I really don't know. Okay, so we need the breakdown on the setting of this thing before I can get to any of the details. I think this is not ready for a line edit. Okay, if I'm an editor, this is not gonna be ready for a line edit. It's not polished. I would require I would require I think it's a developmental edit stage, because a lot of things are all over the place. There's a lot of loops that are not covered, a lot of holes that are not covered, and a lot of phrasings that can be enhanced on and expanded. So I think it's a developmental edit kind of thing while beta reading. So it's like a 2-in-1 kind of stream tonight. It's almost 2 hours, I realize this, but thank goodness we're almost done. So yeah, so when she was ready at the counter, he gave her the cheesecake and said, okay, and said is redundant here as well. So I will just highlight this because I don't want to overemphasize. You can remove this. Okay, and then $5 for lunch and 2 for the cheesecake. So totally. And usually people just say the total, not totally. Totally and total are like two different things. Okay, it's $7. And then after that, because this is what Martin is saying. So when the woman paid the sum, okay, you want to split this action, the woman paid the sum. And Martin answered to the next paragraph here. It's not a connection to this line, but it's my comment. No connection to the last line. Okay. So if you have a speech over here and then you have a pause, and then after that the woman does some action, and then after that he answers, thank you and I hope you enjoy your food. So this part here of he answered, thank you and I hope you enjoy your food, should be with Martin answered. It shouldn't be with the woman paying. So the woman paying, one paragraph. Martin answered with the next paragraph joined together. So all in all, that's it. So usually what I do is there's enough comments over here already. But I would generically, at the end of every beta session reading, I will put in my comments, like type in kind of essay-ish kind of comments. So I have written my beta reading format in one of my videos previously, like the one that says the best-selling idea, the part one, the concept stage, on the format that you can give your beta readers to check. Like I usually like to give ratings. For the sake of people on stream, let me just find it real quick, and I'll copy it down here for you to actually put it down. My Discord is not loading. Help! My internet is dying on me tonight. Everybody doesn't like me. Wanna cry? Okay, please load. Okay, we got it. Alright, so this is actually my theme. This is, I can give it to you guys, so anyone who is interested in using this, please go ahead. I don't need any credits. Let me just paste this. Yeah, there we go. So this is my beta reader format kind of thing. It's for like it's for the people who don't know how to beta read. So a lot of times you have readers and then they're like, oh, I just read. And then you want them to be beta readers and they're like, the first question, what is a beta reader? What do I do? And then you say, oh, you just read and give me feedback. And then they have a lot of questions in my, I read and I give you feedback. Is this the same as me commenting on your chapters? But I don't even comment. I'm a shy and silent reader. What are you looking for? What kind of opinions should I give? I don't want to criticize my hardworking author. I love you so much. I don't want to put you down. And then you have to tell them, like, oh, this is tough love. If I get criticized by you first, I won't get stoned by the public over there. So it's like, you're doing me a favor by letting me know what you don't like to see, then I can fix it before it goes live. That kind of thing. And they don't know what to fix, what to look at. This is my personal format for how it works. So I like to think of 7 as an okay rating for every chapter, because I'm an overachiever. So yeah, 5 is on average, is like the just pass mark. For me, 7 is the acceptable range, which kind of means that you're looking for it's on the higher side of the quality, and I like to keep it that way. So for me, I use ratings of 7. With the only exception of predictability of the chapter, because the higher the rating is for predictability, the less original it is for me. So if people can predict what's coming up, that's a bad sign for me. So for this case, the lower the number for number 5 over here, predictability, the lower the number, the better for me. But for the rest of it over here, all these ratings, I would usually try to keep it up to a 7. So as you can see, first one, pace of chapter. Okay, let me just delete these. It shouldn't be here, I'm sorry. It shouldn't be here, so I'm sorry. Yeah, okay, so pace of chapter, I'm gonna answer now. So the pace of chapter is okay. So chapters are relatively short, which is okay for web novel targeted centric market. So a rule of thumb is actually to keep it about 1,000 words to 1,500 words for female lead novels. And then for male lead novels, you want to do a little bit longer. You can afford a little bit longer because for some reason, action scenes take up a lot of words. So you can spend to about 2,000 words per chapter for web novels, male lead novels. So 2 to 3 pages for female lead novels. It's good enough, okay? 3 pages is just nice. And for male novels, try not to exceed 8 pages. 6 pages is good enough. 5, 6 pages, that's more than enough. That's good enough. That's a rule of thumb. And when I'm talking about this, I'm talking about Arial font size 11 with 1 line space, like after each paragraph. That's the rule of thumb. But of course, it differs from writer. It's up to you. Okay, so the starting of chapter. So this is an, okay, this is an overall. I'm gonna do a combined review session here because I don't want to break it up. The both chapters have linked, and I spent about 2 hours doing this, so I don't want to spend additional time individually reviewing things that is repeated. So a lot of points that are mentioned above are repeated, which is why there's a lot of highlights. So starting of chapter interest, you didn't get me there, okay? Let's review this over here. So he bought his own cafeteria, that's fine. But the moment I hit this, okay, starting reviews, like starting chapters, we want to see at 100, okay? So total for these 2 chapters is about 2003. So on average is about 1,000 plus. We're going to look at the first 100 words here. Okay, so first 100 is about here. So I'll be reading from here to here. This is how I judge my first paragraph. The reason why this first paragraph opens as important is because when you actually have a feature promise, okay, you have a feature on the app of web novel, especially web novel, I've talked about this before, you will always get first 100 words as a preview. So the readers only reach like they read the first 100 words and they judge by it. So if it's no good, you can safely say that it's not going to work out very well. So your synopsis is important, and then your first paragraph is important. I think I covered this in the video for a best-selling idea for like creation stage for web novel. Yeah, it's one of the videos back then. Okay, so based on this first chapter, it's been confusing so far, which I would rate it as average, but slightly less than average. So if average is a 5, oh my god. Okay, that was way too much. Right, so if average was a 5, my interest will be... My interest is not there. My interest is not there. Okay, it caught me with Cafe BL, but my interest is not there. So even it out, it's a 5. So it was below average, but because it's a BL theme and I'm biased towards this, so my interest was okay. So I'm a little bit more tolerant because of the theme. So sometimes it happens for your readers as well. Don't be shocked. Biasness is always existent. Doesn't matter which part of the world you live in. So the ending of the chapter, for chapter 1, I was not satisfied with chapter 1 because it wrapped up, but it didn't wrap up cleanly. So I'll give it a 5. For chapter 2, we just saw this how it ends. He says, "Thank you. I hope you enjoy your food." But there was no call to action as well. So reason for it. No cliff. In other words, no cliff. There is no looking forward to this thing. Yeah, so I don't think it's very good. It could be better. It definitely could be better. Okay, so the ability to understand the chapter not very well. This is really not very well. So like I could do it, but chapter 2 was worse than chapter 1 by like, considerably so. So I'm going to split this up. Chapter 1 was in okay ish. Yeah, chapter 1 was okay. Okay, so these are my comments. Right, so predictability of the chapter, to be honest, it was very, very predictable, with the exception of some things. So I would say about 9. I would be able to predict more things. So the ones that I couldn't predict so far was his asking of the allergies, and then the self-help system, and the e-menu that comes in. All these are surprises that comes in, but it was bad surprises, not always good surprises. Okay, not all of them are bad. The one of the allergy was like a good surprise, but the rest of them, they were surprises that comes in like jump scares. So not very pleasant, not very good. I would prefer surprises like a puppy in a box, but no, yeah, that was what I got. So predictability of the entire things, like both chapters, I'll put it at a 9. Yeah, so there will be room for improvement over here. So let me just put this in comments. Okay, so I'm done with this. So the length of chapter, uh, Okay, length of chapter is also alright. Okay, so okay, there's a difference between the pace of the chapter and the length of chapter. Just now what I was talking about was the length of chapter. So pace of chapter. Okay, sorry. Pace is actually the content inside the chapter. So I find that the content inside this chapter was sufficient, but it wasn't enough. Details. I'm talking about details, okay? But that was content wise. In terms of pace, they did come down to little steps, which I think was good. The pace is good. So there was just enough of everything, but at the same time, it was not enough of me sinking in. So yeah, there wasn't. Okay, one thing about here. Okay, so these are some of my comments. So like you have the wordiness, for example, over here on the top right at the top here. So your wordiness on one of the sentence. What was the sentence? Here, this one over here, it could have been broken into 3 points, but you didn't, and then you make it into a complex structure of a sentence that didn't really work out. So in terms of pacing, this one is a F. For me, it's a fail. You didn't get the message across. That's number one. You didn't get the kind of feeling across to the readers for them to actually take it in slowly. That's number two. So this destroys the pacing of the entire setup of your introduction. Your introduction is supposed to be the most important thing. It's the one that hooks in your readers. Nowadays, people are looking at instant gratification. It doesn't do it. That was pacing. Okay, where was I? 6, 7. Okay, how interesting was this chapter? Okay, so from 10, 1 is dropping the shit, and 10 is give me the chapter. Okay, I'll be very honest. I'll be very, very honest. I'm very close to 1. After reading 2 chapters, I'm very close to 1. Okay, at chapter 1, I was not so bad. I was like, okay, maybe I'll give this a chance, like 4. It wasn't even a pass. And now I'm a 2 at chapter 2. Okay, reason. I'll give the reason. So I could not like the chapters. I could not like this story, not because the idea was bad. In fact, a BL Cafe sounds like a very nice and fluffy kind of story, but my expectations were so high that when I read this book without a synopsis, without a title, I didn't know what to expect. I came in here with high hopes, and I was disappointed because first and foremost, okay, language. I am very particular about language, okay? You don't have to be the best of language. You don't have to use bombastic words in the dictionary and stuff like that. But I do expect you to actually know a decent amount of English. You might not be a native, it's okay. But the command of English should be readable in such a sense that doesn't stand out to me like a sore thumb, okay? This one is a no-no. And then number 2 is the... Oh, why is there a different one? I ruined this. Okay, number 2 is the lack of content when it was required. For example, when I was hyped up for how hot this guy was, there was no details given. And when I was so hyped for the food porn, there was no details given. And I was like, oh, I'm lacking in something, you know? It's like going to an amusement park and seeing that all the rides are closed. That was the kind of feeling I got. That's why I'm not looking forward to the next chapter. I know that it's not gonna come. Like at this pace, at this level, I'm just gonna be frustrated. Right. So and then the next point that I say over here is it's It's boring because there's too much telling. You're moving on the plot for the sake of moving on the plot. That's not how it works. When you tell a story, you want to give a person an experience, a full experience, like a 4D kind of theater experience. You get to see, you get to hear, you get to touch, you get to smell, you get to be part of the story. The problem with this is I'm not part of the story. Okay, sure. I'm not the main character, that's fine. But I should be able to join in the fun of, like, also ogling at guys. But no, I wasn't there. I should also be able to join in the fun of, oh, furniture placements, how this works and all, everything, like a grand tour of the cafe. But I was not given that tour. I felt like I was left out and I was missing on something. Therefore, it's too much telling. I should be shown, like given a tour, given a view, given like the first front row seats of this concert called a story. I was not given that. So it was too much telling. It was boring. I was not engaged. Okay, number 4, it was confusing and it lacked sequence. So, like the entire stream, if you've been here, you've probably seen it already. So, number 5 is the lack of personal relating with the main character. And not just the main character, the world in itself. It feels like a world that's built out of cardboard. It doesn't feel real. Okay, sure. It should be easier to relate with a world that's built in modern times because you live in it. If I talk about a Mercedes, most people will know, oh, that's a car. But if you're like in a magical world, okay, and you talk about flying ponies and they're like, what the hell is that? Okay, it's understandable. But if I cannot even relate to a modern world in this setting, it's a problem. It means that you're not doing the storytelling right. You're supposed to bring me into the experience of doing things like, I want to know you as a friend. I don't go and say, okay, tell me 3 things that you dislike about me. No. You just go in and you ease in and you observe them, you talk to them, you laugh, and then you hear and some of the things that they share with you, observe some of the quirks that they have. That's how you make friends. You don't force your way into this with a knife, say, give me your number now. Or I'm gonna stab you because I want to be your friend. No. In this case over here, you also cannot make friends with people who don't tell you anything about themselves. It's like, hey, and then they're like, hey, how are you doing? Good. You? Good. And then the conversation just ends there. This feels like that kind of friend. You're not going to be able to make friends like this. You want to be friends with the main character. You got to give the main character a very open personality, a very outgoing personality. He doesn't have to be outgoing. She doesn't have to be outgoing. She doesn't have to be, oh my god, I'm a happy peel. The whole world loves me. No. She can be someone who's like, I'm depressed, I want the whole world to die. But at the same time, you have to make them relatable, as in they express their opinions to you like a friend would. Oh my god, I'm so depressed. I just want to see that kitten and step on its tail until it falls off. Just like how this person did this to me. That kind of thing, that kind of relation. So when they're more open about this kind of emotions, this kind of thoughts, this kind of feelings, and this kind of actions, it shows that they're comfortable with you. That's how you make friends. So your main character has to be comfortable with your readers, and that's how they can make friends. And when they make friends, it's relatable. And if it's relatable, your readers will stay. That's just basically how it works. Like for me, that's how it works. I will never read something I cannot relate to, because that just defeats the purpose, man. Okay, so other feedback, I will put this NA for now. So yeah, this is a more like a developmental edit kind of beta reading session. It's not quite a beta reading session. It's a developmental edit. So I said this, like I said a lot of things. I put a lot of comments. I did a lot of highlights and everything whatnot. And it's just 2 chapters. It's like what, 2,000 over words. But I took a long time. I took like almost 2 hours to do this. So about an hour on average. So editing is hard work. Not gonna lie. And this is just developmental. I didn't do line edits. I didn't do proofreads. I didn't do a lot of corrections and stuff like that. As you can see, it's mostly comments. So it's content based. And if I have already so many things to say about the content, no need to say about the other things. There's a long way to go before this is actually reaching the polished stage. So I hope that this writer who submitted this, who may or may not be watching this stream right now, doesn't get offended. And treat this as a learning experience instead, because I know their situation is that for some reason they took a 1-year hiatus. It's not gonna be easy, okay? It's definitely not gonna be easy. But this standard, if you're looking at making it, excelling it, and making this the best, this is not going to be your best. This is not your best. You can do way better. So these comments are for you to go through slowly over time, and I hope it's been useful. So this is just the first one. So this style is the Cafe BL novel. It's a slightly fluffy one. I'll just save it. It's probably auto-saved by now, so I'll just close it. Oh, no, it's not safe. Who am I trying to kid? My internet sucks. No! Okay, I'll just leave it open and then fix this at the end of the stream. I can't. I'm not. Okay, so moving on. This is also by the same author. So I've did the formatting, like I said. And then let's go through this. So maybe the author actually does better with a sci-fi theme. I'm not sure. So as a new author, if you're new, you can actually go through things that explore different genres have different kinds of writing skills. So if you're someone who is more comfortable with building characters, your strength is in building relatable characters, you might want to go for something that's like, school life, lighthearted, drama, relationships, romance, stuff like that. But if you're someone who is better at world building, like for example, making the world seem like it's so magical and that you have the entire world structure built out, something like the Avatar world, like, oh my god, there are four elements and there are like, wars between these countries and the dynamics and the relationships between these kings are just no good. But there's a hero that comes along and then goes on an adventure. This is world building. You might be suited for adventure, you might be suited for action. If you're good at describing things, hell yeah. This is a very good skill that can go with any genre, but the best kind of genres I find for describing things would be virtual reality. So you be able to go through the experience and describe the experience because it's completely new. Basically, you go through journeys, experiences. You're good at describing things. Anything that's new, anything that's foreign comes in your hand, you can build it into a literature-based kind of story. Describing is a very important skill that not many authors have. So yeah, you show a lot, but sometimes the one fatal flaw for authors who have descriptive style of writing is you show too much and you drag out the pace for too long. It becomes draggy, it becomes boring, your readers lose interest. So that's something you gotta take note of. Topic for another time because I have one more chapter to go. Okay, so let's take a look at this submission. It's a zombie sci-fi kind of story. Right, let's start. So it was one of the most incredible days in Earth's history. Earth's history. You might want to just capitalize this. Earth's history after the habitation. After the habitation of. I'm gonna highlight this because I don't know what this means. Habitation of the moon and Mars. Is it like people living there? Habitation. Habitation is actually a location where people live in. Maybe they mean a different word, but I don't know. Okay, this is the writer's job to find out. Okay, so humanity had discovered again passive. I'm not gonna write this again. It's the same author, so don't mind if I actually do it the lazy way of just highlighting and not saying anything. Right, so since this one has like over a few thousand comments by now, I think I'm just going to try and make these scars. Okay, discovered traces of other intelligent beings among the stars, even humans that call themselves who call themselves cultivators. I think it's who, it's not that. Right, so in the year blah blah blah, in the middle of February, humanity was watching how the airship. Okay, the longest time in space to contact other intelligent beings was finally returning to the USA. Okay. The people across the globe were celebrating this wonderful moment, but they didn't realize until it was too late that the airship brought unmanifest sickness to the world. Okay, good job. So this is my hook. Okay, good. So a virus that would turn the earth into a living hell and even make it English over here, and even make it to be one of the most feared ones in the other galaxies. And okay, never mind. Okay, first the people start getting nauseous and sick, and no doctor could find any trace of an identified sickness. And when similar cases around the world, humanity. Okay, sounds like COVID, but without the cure. Okay, COVID has a cure. Now it didn't have it, but okay. Anyways, okay. So those who could have already escaped to space and the lucky ones left to die on Earth. Okay, I see how this works now. Okay, this technique is what we call foreshadowing. Okay, for those of you who don't know what foreshadowing is, I'm too lazy to explain. Go Google. Okay, I'm just kidding. Foreshadowing is actually the ability to drop hints about what's gonna happen next without telling explicitly what it is. So it's like a mini spoiler kind of thing. So yeah, so unlucky ones die on the earth, and then you hear the ominous music in the background, like oh, and then you're like, oh, this is where the jump scare is coming in. Yeah, exactly that kind of thing. Yeah. So, okay, let's go back to this. Hmm. Okay, nauseous appetite, more massive than ever. Wait, cancel. I want to highlight this. Okay, so choice of words over here. Than ever. So instead of than ever, than before. But when the first of these patients actually ripped out doctors' throats, and more cases like this started to repeat, rest of humanity left their favorite zombie apocalypse. Oh my god, I love this. Okay, I'm gonna explain why I love this so much because it's ironic. So usually you don't describe things that you love with such a, negative tone, and this works perfectly. So it's like kind of sarcasm, but it's not sarcasm, so it's fine. Right, suddenly there were unintelligent people across with constant hunger that would eat everything. Okay, I actually like how they describe the zombie here. Okay, so for the first time, the humans who had gotten used to their comfortable lives with self-storage robots and everything was... Huh? I'm a bit confused here. Here, was almost granted to them, had to try to survive in the condition... Okay, so basically what the author is trying to say over here is that they've lived a privileged life, and now it's time to face the music and, like, play back this kind of thing. So yeah, cancel. So yeah, this is what they're trying to say, but they didn't say it very well, therefore it sounds very confusing. Yeah, the writer has to work, but you can definitely see that compared to this Cafe BL thing, the zombie sci-fi one is way better. Like, I think the author has a higher chance of writing something that's enjoyable and, like, likable and easier for them as well, because it's very structured here compared to the other one. This is really structured. So some countries were strong enough to suppress the so-called zombies with their mighty armies. Still, as population exceeded over 20 billion, more and more of them were turning into creatures. Okay, over here I have a question. So yeah, this is just to, like, confirm that the writer has it down to the details, but nothing much about this. Okay, so this is just my concern. So humanity built up a few strongholds among the countries. Some were luckier than the others, but every nation had already promised not to use any nuclear weapons that were banned. Okay? Likewise, missiles were fired across the world, making places inhabited. Only the strongest could survive there. Okay, so I see how it is. As the food and ammunition were getting lower and lower, getting lower and lower, getting lower and lower, maybe you want to put scars over here. Okay, I hope I'm back. My internet is just not liking me. I'll try to wrap this up ASAP. We're almost there. You can do it. You can do it. Okay, okay. So I'm gonna just add this comment. So lower and lower is not the. I won't say this. So suggestion is to make scarcity scarce. Did I spell it right? Okay. The humanity hoped that the people who escaped to the south would come back to save them. Okay, but they didn't know. Okay, I'm just gonna highlight this. Okay, but they didn't know that those who called themselves cultivators and universe really claimed the galaxy as their own training grounds. Oh, interesting. So it's kind of like a zombie sci-fi, but with cultivation. Most of the original people on Earth already succumbed to under their rule, leaving the moon. Mars colony is half empty. Okay. Okay, this again. Okay, let me just highlight. Okay, but the cultivators humans were merely resources. Some of the lucky ones were strong enough to arise. There's prominent people among them. Still, everyone slowly forgot Earth as it was getting worse and worse every day. So worse and worse, I would suggest here, deteriorating. Did I not spell this right? I did not. Okay. Whatever. Okay, so people slowly turn to the law of the jungle. Very good. I like this. I like this a lot. I like this a lot. Okay, so I really like this a lot. So it's a very powerful thing to actually explain dictatorship in the very primitive sense. So it calls out to your instinct. You know exactly what's going on. I have very, very high expectations of this. So they slowly turned to the law of the jungle and stronger started to rule. So now we see how this goes. So there's cultivator, there are zombies, and then there's a power struggle somewhere. I think this writer has greater promise of writing this zombie sci-fi fic compared to the Cafe BL novel. Way better. And then all these points out here are actually linked. I have so far not needed to claim like, this one goes in that paragraph and this one comes first and that one comes second and this sentence is overly complex. No, no need. The writer knows exactly what to do here. This is their calling. But this story isn't about the plot twist so early. Okay, so it's about a certain unintelligent being that rose too high enough to a high and to a high. Okay, so other than English, which I can forgive for now because it's very interesting, so to a high enough to strike fear across the galaxy is a certain intelligent being. I want to know more now. I have interest. I am hooked. Well done, author. Okay, so she didn't have the she. Oh, okay. Now we know more details. She didn't have a name at first, and it was just part of her hot eating anything without sense. Any sense of the world. She didn't get tired. She didn't feel anything. Okay. The only thing driving her forward was the constant hunger and the tasty human flesh. Oh my god, I'll be scared. Okay, so no matter how tormented her clothes of flesh was, she walked forward as long as there was something to eat. Oh my god, a garment? She was lucky to be in a horde that was considered a large one as she hasn't gotten terminated yet. I like this use of word. Love this use of word. So terminated actually gives a very, very powerful feeling. So it's like exterminated, terminated. So they are seen as pests. Yeah, so terminated. Wow, sounds very digital-like. Digital zombie. So her flesh was always recreating itself just like everyone else's was. No! My internet, come back. I'm almost done. Hurry up. Okay, everyone else says apostrophe, and this is the place where you put the apostrophe. Okay, so nothing has stopped her or her heart from moving forward. They have even destroyed a few smaller settlements across their endless walk without destination. I like this one very well. Well done. Yeah, hell yeah. Okay, so her only life. Okay, maybe you want to say the only life purpose. Hmm. Only life purpose was to eat, walk, eat again without stopping to rest. Okay, without stopping to rest. It sounds like an unhealthy work-life balance here. Okay, so she didn't even know who she was or what her meaning was. She only had to eat, as that was the only thing she knew apart from walking. She didn't know who or what she was leading or who was her, and it's all it was a mindless thing without any reason. Until one fateful day, and life changed, and the rest of things. Very, very, very skillful ending. Very, very skillfully done. Very, very skillfully done. Oh my god, I should have started with this first. But I guess for some reason, Fate was like, no, you should do the BL one first because you're a simp for BL. Okay, that's my mistake. That's my lesson to learn. But yeah, this is really well done. I have high praises for this. And I also have high ratings for this. Wow, what a surprise. You never think that I'm capable of high ratings, did you? After seeing me roast people for like 2 hours straight, you guys probably think I was a heartless bastard or heartless bitch. You're kind of right, but at the same time kind of wrong because I'm like bipolar, so I can be both. But this one deserves praises though. High praises. Come here. Oh my god. Okay, so let me just delete this nicely. Okay, so the pace of the chapter. How is the pace of the chapter? The pace of the chapter was great. So it was very well thought out over here. There's nothing to say about the pace, okay? This author knows what they are doing. So the start of the chapter, the interest at the start of the chapter, okay? In case I forget, let's go back and review. So over here, they're talking about the Earth's history and stuff like that. Okay, it's there. It could be better. I always say it could be better. But I'm still gonna give this a 7 because a 7 is a pass in my sense. So it could be better. So yeah, usually what happens is we run into a constant problem of devouring content. So when you start with once upon a time, this kind of starting works for a lot of things, but at the same time, it's so predictable that people just want to face palm and move on and just flip to the center of the book where the action happens. So what I'm saying over here is it is a great chapter, but it is not a first chapter. It sounds more like a prologue than a first chapter, so I wouldn't change anything over here. It gives a very good world setting. It paces things out very smoothly. There is no hiccups. There's no missing stuff. It's all there. It's good. It's easy to understand. It flows through. I can love it. I get into it. It's good. It's perfect. Okay, don't change it. But as a room for improvement, consider for their next book or whatever not, and for maybe their official first chapter if they decided to make this a prologue. Jump into the drama, jump into the action. Don't start with, oh my god, he shot this guy, and then like, oh no, not even shot the guy. You just go and buy the gun, and then you climb up the stairs, and then you look for your target before you shoot the target. Okay, no, you just start with pointing your scope from the gun at your target. That's how a first chapter should be. You should grab the attention of your readers by the balls. Okay, this is YouTube, but I don't care. There are no children inside, right? Okay, just don't sue me. Right, so in any case, it is a good first chapter, but it could be better. Ending of the chapter. I'll say I'll give it a 10. Okay, while there are no perfect marks in history and stuff like that, I'll give this a 10. Reason being, they had everything I needed to look forward to the next chapter. Okay, so the ability to understand the chapter, honestly, it's very high, so I'll give it a 9 as well. Okay. So unlike the BL cafe where there was missing things like, oh my god, I don't have the details on all these things that I want to know. This story itself was good. I had no questions about what they were talking about. Everything I needed to know, all my questions were answered before I could ask them. It is good. The flow is good. The ability to understand is so good. It flows, okay? With the exception for language, but it flows. I'm giving this a high rating. So the predictability of the chapter, I thought was predictable. I thought it was predictable all the way until they mentioned cultivators, and I was like, what? Hold up a second. And then they were like, oh no, we're not going to be talking about the one who kills the zombies. We're going to be talking about the zombie in itself. Plot twist. So it's not very predictable. I'll give it 4, which is a good thing for me. I like the twist. I really like the twist. Oh my god, I spelled cultivators. Cultivators? Cultivators? Okay, so over here, the length of the chapter, it was good. I wish it was longer, but at the same time, I don't think it should be longer because it was so well written. There is nothing to change. Okay, let's just check how many words are there in this. Oh my god, it's not even like 1,000 words. What? It is short. It is short. So the tension over here works for me. It didn't feel like it was dragging out. At the same time, it didn't feel like it was too short, even though in reality this is really short. So I was like kind of surprised. I was like, it's short. But because there's so much information in here that's been paced out and given it to you by bits, it didn't feel short because your brain is working overtime. This is a good example of how writing should be done. So you can learn from this author's current work. Don't learn from the Cafe BL. That one needs a lot of improvement. That one was in developmental edit phase. This one could have easily been in a line edit phase, proofread phase even. You don't even need edits for content here. Like maybe here a little bit more, there a little bit more. But mostly all I see is the language. That's about it. The content wise, this author has it all down to a pet. So this author can just send us over for proofreading to polish it and then they're good to go. Literally good to go. You can just publish this. That's okay. So on a scale of 1 to 10, how interesting was this chapter? Okay, when I heard zombie sci-fi, I wasn't so keen initially, but now I changed my mind. I will definitely read this. So I am interested. So the interest scale maybe started with a 6 because I'm biased. Compared to the Cafe BL one, which started on like an 8 and then it dropped all the way down to a 4. This one starts with a 6, went up all the way to an 8. Good job. Okay, so other feedback. So yeah, this is it for me. This is it for the zombie sci-fi one. So I don't know which one you actually prefer. So for those of you who stayed with me from the start of the stream to the end of the stream, it's about 2.5 hours. No, actually it's 2 hours and 40 minutes. It's like longer than I thought it would be. So yeah, this is beta reading. Beta reading should be like a process on the second kind of chapter. Shouldn't be like in the first one here. It shouldn't be like the Cafe Bio because that one was kind of like a beta read but also a developmental edit phase. So beta read should be here. You should be giving comments on the things that you like to see, and if you can pick out some minor stuff, then you pick out some minor stuff like, oh, capitalization, oh, a typo error. Yeah, that's good enough. Okay, so the rest of it over here, I just put in comments like, oh my god, I like this. Maybe what's this, like, my feelings at the point of time when I'm going through this. That's what beta readers should be doing. And then at the end of this entire thing, I give a feedback based on a beta reading template that you can take from my other video. With that, I hope that you guys learned something. You guys enjoyed this. I might do this again if I have new submissions. So if you're a new writer, you got works, you want to have like give me feedback and stuff like that, you can send it to me. On my YouTube video, on my live streams and all, I actually have descriptions under the links in the description, so you can send it to me. I don't know, Facebook, I do it. On Twitter, not too much. Instagram, I do sometimes. The safest bet is to find me on Discord. Like, add me as friend, introduce yourself, tell me about what you like me to do on streams, how you find me, and yeah. And if you want to remain anonymous, that can be done as well. So I won't reveal your names, but I will roast you live on stream. Yeah, so that's it. Thank you for coming and joining me with this very long ass session. I am very tired. I need to go and sleep, but I have insomnia, so wish me luck. That's it for tonight. Love you guys. Thanks for